Oh my god, she's actually here. This is gonna be fun.
I can't wait to see the look on Ethan's face when he sees his blind date.
She has no idea.
The laughter hit before Ethan Brooks even reached the table. One sharp burst, then another. By the time he looked up, half the restaurant had turned to stare. A woman near the bar whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Oh my God, that's his date." Someone else snorted. "I'd pay money to see what he does next." Across the room, three of Ethan's co-workers struggled to hide their smiles. One of them, Derek, lowered his phone just enough to keep recording without being obvious. "Told you," he muttered. "He's walking out." Melissa smirked. "Give it 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7. Ethan stopped beside the table. Olivia Carter stood the moment she saw him approaching. Her hands trembled so badly she nearly knocked over the glass of water in front of her. "I'm Olivia," she said softly. She had almost canceled 3 times before leaving home. Now, with dozens of strangers staring at her, she wished she had. "I'm Ethan," he replied with a warm smile. Instead of turning around, instead of pretending he had the wrong table, instead of making the excuse everyone expected, he held out his hand. "It's really nice to meet you." Olivia stared at him, almost confused. You're staying?" He chuckled gently. "I'd feel pretty terrible if I left before saying hello." The laughter around them suddenly sounded awkward. Melissa frowned. "Wait," Derek whispered. "He's just being polite." Olivia slowly shook Ethan's hand. It's nice to meet you too." He pulled out her chair. "May I?" She nodded. "Thank you." Only after she sat did he take his own seat. The waiter appeared. "Would you like a few more minutes?" Ethan smiled. "I think we're ready." The waiter walked away. Neither of them spoke for a few seconds. Not because it was uncomfortable, because they could both feel everyone watching. Olivia forced a smile. "You know what? This isn't exactly how I imagined meeting someone." Ethan laughed quietly. "I don't think it matches my imagination either." For the first time that evening, she smiled for real. Across the restaurant, Derek zoomed in with his phone. "Come on," he whispered. "Reject her already." Instead, Ethan leaned forward. "So, what? Tell me something interesting about yourself." Olivia blinked. "That's your first question?" "It usually tells me more than asking what someone does for work." She hesitated. Then she answered, "I write stories." His eyes lit up. "What kind?" "Children's books." "No kidding. I haven't published one. Yet." She looked surprised. "You said that like you're sure." "I am." She laughed softly. "You don't even know if they're good." "I don't. But you smiled when you said children's books." "So, people only smile like that when they love what they do." For a brief second, the noise around them disappeared. She hadn't heard someone notice something that small in years. Meanwhile, 3 tables away, Melissa folded her arms. "What is he doing?" Derek shrugged. "I don't know. This isn't how it's supposed to go." "No, it really isn't." For hours earlier, Ethan had been completely convinced the date would be a disaster. Not because he hated blind dates. Because every blind date his co-workers arranged somehow became office gossip by Monday morning. As he entered the architecture firm that morning carrying coffee for himself and 2 interns, Melissa practically sprinted toward him. "There he is." He sighed. "I'm almost afraid to ask." "You should be excited." "That's exactly what worries me." Derek joined them carrying a box of donuts. "We found someone." Ethan rolled his eyes. "No." Melissa gasped dramatically. "You haven't even heard us." "I don't need to. This one's different." "So were the last 4. "The last 4 were terrible," Derek admitted. "This one isn't." Ethan laughed. "You two suddenly became professional matchmakers?" Melissa lowered her voice. "She's kind." "So you've met her?" "Not exactly." "You've talked to her?" "Sort of." Ethan narrowed his eyes. "You know absolutely nothing about her." Derek answered too quickly. "That's not true." "What do you know?" "She's single." Ethan stared. "Anything else?" "She likes books." He laughed again. "So do half the people in America." Melissa nudged him. "Come on. You've been single for 3 years. So maybe stop waiting for fate." "I wasn't aware fate outsourced to accounting." Derek burst into laughter. Melissa crossed her arms. "Very funny. I'm serious." "So are we." She handed him a folded piece of paper. 7 o'clock. Lumina Rooftop. Or something nice. He looked at the address. You already made reservations? She smiled proudly. See, we're committed. You've already spent money. It's non-refundable. Ethan sighed. You people are unbelievable. So you'll go? He looked from Melissa to Derek. Back again. Finally. He smiled. One dinner. Melissa clapped excitedly. Yes. But, what if this turns into another joke? It won't. I mean it. She placed her hand dramatically over her heart. You have my word. Derek copied her. And mine. Neither could hold eye contact. Ethan noticed, but chose to ignore it. He wanted to believe them. He really did. Across town, Olivia Carter sat at her tiny kitchen table, surrounded by colored pencils, unfinished illustrations, and children's story manuscripts. Her 8-year-old daughter Sophie colored beside her. Mom, are dragons allowed to wear glasses? Olivia smiled. In your story? Yeah. They can wear whatever makes them happy. Sophie grinned. My dragon needs purple glasses. I think that's an excellent choice. A notification buzzed on Olivia's phone. Unknown number. Hi Olivia. My name is Rachel. We have mutual friends. I hope this isn't strange, but I know someone who'd love to meet you. He's kind, funny, and genuinely looking for something real. No pressure, but if you're interested, dinner tonight at 7? Olivia stared at the message. Sophie looked up. What is it? Nothing. It doesn't look like nothing. Olivia smiled weakly. It's someone asking if I'd like to go on a blind date. Sophie's eyes widened. A date? MHM. Like in the movies? Olivia laughed. I doubt it'll be like the movies. Are you going? I don't think so. Why? She looked down. You know why. Sophie put down her crayons. Because of Dad. Olivia didn't answer. She didn't have to. The silence answered for her. After years of hearing cruel comments about her appearance from her ex-husband, she had stopped believing compliments. Stopped believing invitations. Stopped believing anyone saw anything beyond her weight. She picked up the phone. Typed one sentence. Thank you, but I don't think I'm the right person. Before pressing send, Sophie reached over. Wait. Olivia looked at her. What if he's nice? I've heard that before. But what if this time it's true? Olivia smiled sadly. Sweetheart. What? Life doesn't usually work like fairy tales. Sophie shrugged. Maybe fairy tales come from somebody trying. Olivia froze. Her daughter continued coloring like she hadn't just changed the entire room. If you don't go, Sophie said quietly, you'll never know. Olivia stared at the unsent message. Then slowly, she deleted it. Instead, she typed 4 different words. I'll be there. Thank you. As soon as she hit send, her stomach twisted into knots. She whispered to herself, almost too quietly to hear. Please just let him be kind. She had no idea that, at that very moment, across town, another phone buzzed inside a private group chat. Derek smiled as he read the message. She accepted. Melissa burst into laughter. Oh, this is going to be unforgettable. None of them realized they were right. Just not for the reason they imagined. If you're already wondering what Ethan's co-workers were really planning, and whether Olivia would discover the truth before the night was over, make sure you subscribe, because this story is only getting started. Olivia stood in front of her bedroom mirror for nearly 20 minutes. She changed dresses twice, then 3 times. Finally, she sighed and pulled the very first one back out of the closet. Nothing expensive, nothing glamorous. Just a simple navy blue dress she hadn't worn in almost 2 years. She looked at herself one last time. You can still cancel, she whispered. A knock came at the bedroom door. Mom, come in. Sophie peeked inside with the biggest smile. You look pretty. Olivia laughed. Mothers are supposed to tell daughters that. I know. But daughters can tell moms too. Olivia knelt in front of her. What if he doesn't like me? Sophie frowned as though the question didn't even make sense. What if he does? Olivia smiled, but her eyes watered. What if everyone stares? They'll stare because you're beautiful. Olivia hugged her tightly. I wish I saw myself the way you do. You will someday. Those words stayed with Olivia all the way to the restaurant. Across town, Ethan adjusted the cuffs of his jacket inside his apartment. His phone buzzed. Derek, don't chicken out. She's already there. Another message appeared from Melissa. Remember, first impressions matter. Ethan smiled to himself. They're way too invested in this. He grabbed his keys and headed out. He had no idea his co-workers weren't driving home. They were driving to the exact same restaurant. Lumina Rooftop overlooked the entire city skyline. Soft lights reflected against the glass walls. A pianist played quietly in the corner. It should have been romantic. Instead, Derek was scanning the room like a producer preparing for a television show. There, he pointed toward Olivia. Melissa looked over and burst into a grin. She's actually here. Another co-worker, Amanda, laughed. I almost feel bad. No, you don't. Amanda shrugged. You're right. Derek checked his phone camera. Battery. 93%. Perfect. Melissa leaned closer. The second Ethan sees her, he'll leave. And we'll finally have something funny to talk about besides spreadsheets. The group laughed. None of them noticed an elderly couple at the next table exchange uncomfortable glances. The husband quietly muttered, something about this doesn't feel right. His wife nodded. Let's hope we're wrong. The restaurant doors opened. Ethan walked inside. Every eye immediately shifted toward him. The hostess smiled. Mr. Brooks, that's me. Your guest has already arrived. He nodded. As they walked toward Olivia's table, Ethan noticed something strange. People weren't simply eating. They were watching, whispering. Some were smiling. Others looked uncomfortable. He glanced toward the corner. There sat Derek, Melissa, Amanda, trying very hard to pretend they weren't looking. Ethan frowned for a brief second. What are they doing here? Before he could think any further, he saw Olivia. She stood nervously beside the table. Everything else happened exactly as no one expected. The laughter, the whispers, the stares, his handshake, her surprised smile. Then dinner began. The waiter returned. Can I start you with drinks? Olivia looked at Ethan. You choose. He smiled. That's dangerous. I know. You trust strangers easily? I used to. The sentence landed differently. Ethan noticed. So what happened? She looked down at the menu. Life. He didn't push. Instead, he ordered sparkling water for both of them. The waiter walked away. Ethan folded his hands. So. Favorite children's book. She laughed. That's harder than picking a favorite child. I'll settle for top 3. Oh, that's still impossible. Try. She smiled. Charlotte's Web. Classic. The Velveteen Rabbit. Excellent. And she hesitated. My daughter's stories. Ethan looked confused. She writes. Every single day. Really? She thinks dragons should wear glasses. He burst into laughter. I completely support that. I knew you would. The conversation flowed so naturally that Olivia almost forgot where she was. Almost. Then another laugh echoed from Derek's table. She instinctively looked over. Melissa quickly looked away. Olivia leaned closer. Do you know them? Ethan followed her gaze. My co-workers. They've been staring. I noticed. Should we leave? He shook his head. No. They'll get bored. Neither of them knew Derek had no intention of getting bored. He zoomed his phone in again. Come on. Do something. Amanda whispered. Maybe he's actually enjoying himself. Melissa rolled her eyes. Impossible. Dinner arrived. The waiter carefully placed their meals on the table. Olivia smiled. This looks amazing. Ethan nodded. I've actually never been here. I thought successful architects lived in places like this. He laughed. I design buildings. I don't live inside them. She smiled. I like that answer. So tell me, what made you start writing? She looked at her plate for a moment. My grandmother. What about her? When I was little, she made every ordinary thing sound magical. Like what? A rainy day became an adventure. A broken umbrella became a pirate ship. A cardboard box became a castle. She laughed quietly. I think I spent my childhood believing imagination could fix anything. And now, she paused. I think imagination helps us survive things reality can't. Ethan didn't answer immediately. Instead, he nodded slowly. I understand that. She looked up. You do? My father. Her expression softened. What about him? He got sick. I'm sorry. For 5 years, hospitals became normal. I kept imagining he'd get better. Did he? Ethan looked out at the city lights. No. I'm sorry. So am I. Silence settled between them. Not awkward silence. Comfortable silence. The kind two strangers rarely share. At Derek's table, nobody laughed anymore. Amanda quietly said, he's opening up. Melissa frowned. This isn't funny. No. Amanda admitted. It isn't. A little girl walked past Ethan's table holding her mother's hand. She accidentally dropped her stuffed rabbit. Before she even noticed, Olivia picked it up. You almost left somebody behind. The little girl smiled shyly. Thank you. What's your bunny's name? Captain Fluffy. Olivia nodded seriously. Captain Fluffy sounds very brave. He is. The girl hugged her toy and skipped away. Ethan watched the whole interaction. You've done that before. What? Talk to children like they're equals. She smiled. They usually have better ideas than adults. He laughed again. I think you're right. For reasons he couldn't explain, he couldn't stop smiling around her. Meanwhile, a text appeared inside the co-workers group chat. Is he seriously flirting? Another reply came instantly. No way. Then another. He has to be pretending. Melissa stared across the room. I've known Ethan 6 years. So, I've never seen him smile this much. Derek lowered his phone. Neither have I. For the first time all evening, an uncomfortable feeling settled over the table. The prank wasn't unfolding. It was collapsing. Back at Ethan's table, dessert menus arrived. Olivia shook her head. I shouldn't. Why not? She laughed nervously. I've heard enough comments about dessert for one lifetime. Ethan looked directly at her. From who? She forced a smile. It doesn't matter. It matters if it made you afraid of ordering cheesecake. She looked away. My ex-husband. The words barely escaped her lips. He'd count every bite. Ethan's jaw tightened. He actually did that? He said he was helping. I'm guessing he wasn't. She laughed bitterly. No, he wasn't. Ethan closed the dessert menu. You know what? What? I'm ordering the biggest slice they have. She blinked. Why? Because nobody should have to earn dessert. She stared at him. He wasn't joking. The waiter returned. I'll have 2 slices of your New York cheesecake. Olivia interrupted. Ethan. He smiled. What? I only wanted 1. So we'll share the second. She laughed so hard she had to cover her mouth. Across the restaurant, even the elderly couple smiled. The husband quietly whispered to his wife. Looks like they were meant to meet after all. His wife nodded. Sometimes wonderful things begin with terrible intentions. At the corner table, Derek looked at the untouched phone in his hand. The video he expected to capture, a public humiliation, didn't exist. Instead, he'd recorded something else entirely. Something none of them had planned. Something that was about to make every one of them regret ever arranging this blind date. And none of them realized the biggest revelation of the night was still only minutes away. If you've ever judged someone too quickly, or been judged yourself, let us know in the comments. And if this story has surprised you so far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because the night is about to take a turn no one at that restaurant saw coming. Before the waiter could set the cheesecake on the table, a loud voice cut through the restaurant. Well, this is going better than I expected. Every conversation stopped. Ethan slowly turned his head. Derek was standing, phone still in his hand. Melissa's face instantly lost its color. Derek, she whispered. Sit down. But he didn't. He had already had 2 glasses of wine, and whatever filter he normally had was gone. He smiled awkwardly. I mean, nobody thought you'd actually stay. The restaurant fell silent. Olivia looked from Derek to Ethan. What does he mean? Ethan frowned. Derek, don't. Derek laughed nervously. No, seriously. Everybody thought you'd make an excuse and leave. Melissa stood up, so quickly her chair nearly tipped over. That's enough. But it was already too late. Olivia's smile disappeared. She looked directly at Ethan. You know him? Yes. And he knows about tonight? Yes. The word barely left his mouth. Her stomach tightened. Why? Ethan didn't answer immediately because he genuinely didn't know what was happening anymore. Then Amanda quietly buried her face in her hands. I can't do this. She stood. I can't pretend anymore. Melissa grabbed her arm. Sit down. No. Amanda pulled away. This has gone too far. Olivia looked completely confused. What is she talking about? Amanda looked at Olivia with tears already forming. I'm so sorry. Melissa closed her eyes. No. Amanda nodded. She deserves the truth. Derek tried to interrupt. Don't. But Amanda continued. This wasn't supposed to be a real blind date. The words landed like shattered glass. Olivia stared. I'm sorry. Amanda whispered. It was supposed to be. She couldn't even finish. Ethan's voice became firm. Supposed to be what? Amanda swallowed. A joke. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Even the pianist had stopped playing. Olivia looked back at Ethan. You knew? His eyes widened. No. I swear I didn't. She searched his face, looking for even the smallest lie. She couldn't find one. Amanda continued through tears. We told him we'd found someone amazing. We told you we'd found someone amazing. We told Olivia exactly the same thing. Derek rubbed his forehead. This isn't helping. Amanda turned toward him. You recorded this. So, you wanted her humiliated. It was just a joke. She laughed bitterly. No. It was cruelty. Several diners quietly nodded. An older woman from another table finally spoke. My husband died last year. Everyone looked toward her. I've spent months wondering if I'd ever be brave enough to date again. She looked directly at Derek. If this is what people think is funny. Her voice cracked. Then maybe that's why so many people stay lonely. No one had a response. Olivia slowly pushed her chair back. I think. She struggled to breathe. I should leave. She reached for her purse. Ethan stood immediately. Olivia. I can't. Please. I can't stay here. This isn't what you think. I don't even know what to think. Her voice trembled. I spent an hour convincing myself I deserved to come here. She laughed through tears. And it turns out, she couldn't finish. The sentence hurt too much. She turned toward the exit. Ethan followed. Olivia. She kept walking. Outside, cool night air hit her face. She finally stopped. Without turning around, she asked quietly. Answer one question. I will. When you first saw me, what did you think? He didn't answer immediately. Not because he didn't know. Because he wanted to answer honestly. I thought. She waited. You looked terrified. She slowly turned. Not my weight. No. My dress. No. My appearance. No. What then? I wondered who had hurt you enough to make you expect me to leave. The tears she'd been holding back finally escaped. You really mean that? I do. She searched his face again. Still no lie. Still no pity. Only sincerity. Inside the restaurant, nobody touched their food. Melissa finally looked at Derek. Happy now? He couldn't answer. The elderly gentleman who had been watching all evening quietly stood and walked toward Derek's table. He wasn't angry. He was disappointed. My late wife struggled with her weight for 30 years. Derek lowered his eyes. You know what she feared most? He shook his head. People laughing before they ever knew her. The old man glanced toward the window where Ethan and Olivia were talking outside. I was married to the greatest woman I've ever known. He smiled softly. If I'd listened to people like you, I would have missed 43 beautiful years. He walked away. No one stopped him. Meanwhile, outside, Olivia wiped her eyes. I almost didn't come. Ethan smiled gently. I almost didn't either. My daughter convinced me. You have a daughter? 8 years old. She said. Olivia laughed through the tears. Maybe fairy tales come from somebody trying. Ethan smiled. She's wise. Much wiser than me. No. She's brave because she learned it from you. She looked down. I don't feel very brave. You came. I almost didn't. But you did. Silence settled again. Finally she asked. So what happens now? Before Ethan could answer, the restaurant doors suddenly opened. Melissa hurried outside. Ethan. He turned. What? She looked at Olivia first, then back at Ethan. I'm sorry. Neither of them spoke. Melissa continued. I need both of you to hear this. Her voice shook. This entire thing was my idea. Derek appeared behind her, along with Amanda and the rest of the co-workers. Every one of them looked ashamed. Melissa took a deep breath. I saw your dating profile months ago. She looked at Olivia. And yours. I thought. She laughed bitterly. I thought it'd be funny. Olivia stared. Funny. I assumed Ethan would reject you. Why? Melissa couldn't answer. Instead, she looked down. Amanda answered for her. Because we judged you before we knew you. A painful silence followed. Melissa finally whispered. I've spent my whole life worrying people would judge me because I wasn't smart enough. She laughed sadly. So I judged someone else first. Olivia looked at her for several long seconds, then quietly asked, Do you have children? Melissa nodded. A son. He's 12. Olivia smiled sadly. If someone did this to him someday, how would you feel? Melissa immediately burst into tears. I couldn't survive it. Then why would you do it to someone else's child? Those words hit harder than anything else that night. Because Olivia wasn't talking about herself anymore. She was talking about Sophie. The little girl who had kissed her mother goodbye, believing she deserved happiness. Melissa covered her face. "I'm so sorry." No one moved. No one rushed to comfort her. Some mistakes deserve silence. Back inside the restaurant, several diners had quietly begun clapping. Not for Melissa. Not for Ethan. For Olivia. One table started. Then another. Within seconds, the entire restaurant was applauding. Not because she'd been humiliated, but because she'd walked through humiliation with grace. Olivia looked overwhelmed. "I don't know what to do." Ethan smiled. "You don't have to do anything." She looked around at the strangers standing for her. People who had watched everything unfold. People wiping away tears. People smiling. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. She had no idea that someone across the street had uploaded Derek's recording. And within hours, millions of people would witness exactly what happened that night. If Ethan had reacted the way everyone expected, this story would have ended in heartbreak. But the biggest twist is still ahead, because one video upload is about to change every life involved forever. If you're enjoying the story, take a second to like the video, subscribe for more unforgettable stories, and tell us in the comments. What would you have done if you had been sitting in that restaurant that night? By the time Ethan drove Olivia home, neither of them had mentioned the prank again. Not because it didn't matter, because they both understood something far more important had happened. As Ethan pulled up in front of Olivia's modest home, he turned off the engine. "I had a really wonderful evening." Olivia laughed softly. "You have a strange definition of wonderful." "I met someone extraordinary." She looked out the window, trying to hide another smile. "You always know the right thing to say?" "No. I usually say the wrong thing." She turned back toward him. "Then maybe tonight was special for both of us." Before getting out, she hesitated. "I need to tell you something." "I'm listening." "I haven't enjoyed talking to someone like this." She searched for the words. "Since before my marriage." Ethan's expression softened. "I'm honored." She nodded. "Good night, Ethan." "Good night, Olivia." She stepped out of the car. Halfway to the front door, she turned around. "Would you like to meet Sophie someday?" Ethan smiled without hesitation. "I'd love that." She walked inside feeling lighter than she had in years. The next morning, Derek woke up to more than 200 missed notifications. He frowned. What now? He opened social media. His face instantly went pale. Someone had uploaded the video. Not the version he expected. Not a funny clip. Not a public rejection. The video started with the laughter. Then Ethan pulling out Olivia's chair. Then their conversation. Then Amanda confessing the truth. Then Olivia asking one heartbreaking question. "When you first saw me, what did you think?" And finally, Ethan's answer. "I wondered who had hurt you enough to make you expect me to leave." The comments were exploding. This man restored my faith in humanity. Who bullies someone looking for love? Olivia deserved so much better. The co-workers should be ashamed. I'm crying before work. Someone find this author and publish her books. The views climbed by the second. 100,000. 500,000. A million. By lunchtime, 3 million. Derek's phone rang. It was human resources. "We need you in the office immediately." The atmosphere inside the architecture firm felt completely different. Nobody laughed. Nobody joked. Everyone had seen the video. Melissa walked into the conference room with swollen eyes. Amanda sat quietly beside her. The HR director folded his hands. "I've worked here 22 years. He looked around the room. "I've handled lawsuits, harassment claims, financial misconduct. I've never watched employees deliberately try to humiliate another human being for entertainment." Nobody argued. There will be consequences. There were. Derek was terminated. Another co-worker resigned before disciplinary action could begin. Melissa received a final warning, mandatory counseling, and was removed from her management role. Amanda wasn't punished as severely because she had confessed before the situation escalated, but she accepted responsibility for her part without complaint. As she left the meeting, Melissa quietly stopped her. "I don't expect forgiveness." Amanda nodded. "You probably won't get it." "I know." Melissa wiped away another tear. "I just hope someday Olivia believes I'm truly sorry." 3 days later, Olivia's phone wouldn't stop ringing. At first she ignored the calls. Then emails started arriving. literary agents, publishers, television interviews, podcast invitations, parents thanking her for showing their children kindness mattered. One message caught her attention more than the others. It came from a major children's publishing house. "We recently learned about your story and would love to read your manuscripts." Olivia stared at the email. She whispered to herself, "This can't be real." Sophie ran into the room. "What happened?" Olivia handed her the phone. Sophie read the message twice, then screamed, "They want your books." Mother and daughter hugged so tightly they both started crying. Months of rejection, years of self-doubt, one cruel prank, and somehow, life had found a way to turn pain into purpose. That weekend, Ethan arrived carrying a pizza and a small gift bag. Sophie opened the door before Olivia could. "You must be Ethan." "I hope so." She laughed. "I'm Sophie. I've heard dragons wear glasses because of you." She gasped. "Mom told you." "She did. They wear purple glasses." "I completely agree." Sophie smiled. "I like you." Olivia laughed from the kitchen. "He's been here 30 seconds. I know. I still like him." Dinner was simple. Pizza, board games, stories. No expensive restaurant. No cameras. No strangers watching. Just 3 people laughing for all the right reasons. At one point Sophie disappeared upstairs. Ethan looked toward the staircase. "I think she approves." Olivia smiled. "She doesn't trust people easily." "I'm glad she trusted me." "So am I." 6 months passed. Olivia's first children's book became a national bestseller. School libraries invited her to speak. Parents lined up for signed copies. Children dressed as characters from her stories. Every event ended the same way. Someone would quietly approach her and say, "I watched the video. Thank you for reminding us kindness still exists." She never quite knew how to respond. Because the truth was, she hadn't felt brave that night. She had simply shown up. Sometimes courage looked exactly like that. One Saturday afternoon, Ethan met Olivia at a community book festival. Children surrounded her table. Sophie proudly helped hand out bookmarks. As the line finally disappeared, Ethan walked over carrying 2 cups of coffee. "For the famous author." She laughed. "I still don't think I'll ever get used to hearing that." "You should." She looked around. "You know what's funny?" "What?" "If your co-workers hadn't been so cruel." She smiled. "We probably never would have met." He nodded. "I've thought about that." "So have I." He reached into his jacket pocket. Olivia looked surprised. "If that's a ring." He laughed. "It isn't." She exhaled dramatically. "You scared me." He pulled out a folded piece of paper. She looked confused. "What's this?" "Our second first date." She unfolded it. It contained a handwritten list. Mini golf. Ice cream. A walk by the river. Sunset picnic. No audience. No cameras. No blind date. She looked up at him with tears in her eyes. "You planned all this?" "I wanted us to have the evening you should have had the first time." She didn't answer. She simply stepped forward and hugged him. People walking past smiled. None of them knew the full story. They only saw 2 people embracing. Sometimes, that was enough. As they walked away together, Sophie ran ahead, pretending to be a dragon wearing imaginary purple glasses. Olivia laughed so hard she nearly cried. Ethan looked at her. "What?" "I was just thinking. About. My daughter was right." "What did she say?" Olivia smiled. "She told me fairy tales come from somebody trying." Ethan gently took her hand. "I think she's smarter than both of us." "I know she is." The 3 of them continued walking as the afternoon sun settled over the park. Not because every wound had healed. Not because life had suddenly become perfect. But because one person had chosen compassion instead of embarrassment. One person had chosen dignity instead of cruelty. One person had looked beyond appearances and discovered the heart beneath them. And in doing so, he didn't just change one evening. He changed 3 lives forever. Maybe that's why the people who laughed the loudest that night eventually stopped smiling. Because they learned something no joke could ever teach. Character is revealed not by who we laugh with, but by who we refuse to laugh at. And sometimes the greatest love stories don't begin with perfect circumstances. They begin with one simple decision. To stay. To listen. To be kind. As the screen slowly faded to black, one final question appeared. If you had been in that restaurant, would you have had the courage to stand beside Ethan and Olivia? Or would you have stayed silent? Share your answer in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, Don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more unforgettable stories of love, resilience, and redemption, and share this video with someone who needs the reminder that kindness still matters. Because the next story might change the way you see people forever.